All right. Welcome back to the next episode of Herbie Sports Talk. My name is Tyler Big Herbie Herbach. To the other side of the table is Travis Little Herbie Herbach.
What's up? Welcome back.
All right, guys. As always, please, after the show, hit us up on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and now on YouTube. It's our second episode in a row getting on YouTube, so we're excited about that. Yep. Start, be able to get info out to you guys in a different platform. So today's episode is all about the NBA. Mm-hmm. We haven't done an NBA exclusive episode, I think, ever. We've mixed it in, but we're finally getting to a full-blown NBA schedule here. Yeah. So it'll be fun to do. We got a lot of information to go over. Let's start with the All-Star Game. It's right around the corner.
It is right around the corner. You were stating just earlier before we hopped live here that LeBron is team captain for the West, KD team captain for the East, and we got a list of starters and reserves that the team has to be able to pick from. You want to run through?
Yeah, let me go ahead and run through these. So just so you guys know, with the draft this year, the conference affiliation really means nothing. We're going to do kind of a schoolyard pickup game style, captains picking back and forth. But just to give you an idea of where each player is coming from and who got voted. So for the West starters, we have Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Jokic. Those are your 5 starters. Your reserves are Anthony Davis, who's obviously out for injury, Paul George, Rudy Gobert, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Zion Williamson, and then Devin Booker is in to replace Anthony Davis. Moving to the East, Kevin Durant is the captain, but he's not going to be playing in the game. Right. So our 5 starters for the East are Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. The reserves are Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Nikola Vucevic. If I'm saying that correctly, I'm pretty sure I butchered it. And then Domantas Sabonis, who is replacing Kevin Durant on the team.
You might have butchered
yeah, so you're much better.
But the fact that you got Antetokounmpo right, I was like, okay, that's impressive at least.
I hear Antetokounmpo a dozen times a day, probably.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I like the way they're doing the system with it's like it feels like a 5-on-5 just pickup game. You go to the park, you get a team together, you just run games. Yeah. I like that style of play. I think that'll give great matchups.
For sure.
Matchups we probably don't ever see on a consistent basis in the NBA.
Or teammates ever.
Or teammates playing with each other and seeing chemistry and stuff like that. I mean, LeBron famously was like, I love doing 2K and All-Star Game where I was like, I get to imagine who I can play with in different levels of my style. And he said that years ago. He's like, I like pulling these random teams together and see what I think of them.
He actually does that when he knows he's getting a new team. He puts them on his team in 2K and to see how their games might look a little better.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, you can think of the All-Star Game as one of those things as well, where you're on a player guide that you don't play with a ton, and then you can use that to figure out what you feel in these guys and how to play as a team. So I like that style of play. All-Star Game, I'm curious how this game is going to play out. I mean, throughout the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of players, LeBron himself being, I don't care about the game. I don't care about the All-Star Game. There's more things to worry about the world.
Not this year,
not this year. I don't want to worry about it. We're doing enough stressful crap. Not only being a professional basketball player and entertaining and playing at a high level, but all the extra precautions, COVID and stuff, that's all mentally draining at the same time. So I was like, I'm wondering, even though the 5-on-5 is going to be fun, they might play around with it, I'm curious if the players are going to even be serious in any way. Or if it's going to be a half-ass slam dunk, alley-oop, half-court heaves all game long and have another 180 to 180 type of game like we did a couple years back.
Well, so that's what they've been doing that's different. So this is like the 3rd year now that they're doing this format.
Right.
And one of the things they're doing, they're not actually keeping score throughout the entire game. So they're doing it in basically 4 quarters where you win the first quarter, win the second quarter, win the third quarter, and each quarter the scores are going to come back down to 0. So it's about winning that quarter. Mm-hmm. And then the 4th quarter is actually a play off of the Elam ending, which they use in the college basketball tournament, where once they get to a certain time, they add 8. In the Elam ending, they add 8 points to whoever's winning, and whoever gets that target score first wins.
Right.
So that makes it so you have to win the game on a bucket. It's not just
who's been winning the game
the whole time. Yeah.
Right.
And so the NBA All-Star Game is a little different. It's kind of a twist on that, where the 4th quarter they add. It's basically it's a run to 24 points. They chose 24 points because of Kobe.
Right.
They put that in last year, and it made it so that 4th quarter actually, if you watched the game last year, was very competitive. like people were locking up on defense and stuff like more than we've ever seen in an All-Star game.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, it wasn't just having fun. Like there was competitiveness behind it.
There was a real reason to actually be there and play.
Yeah. It was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And this year, with COVID going on, some of the players might not be fully into it this year as they were in the past, especially last year after Kobe's death. And it was such a very big, impactful thing for them.
Yeah, especially that fourth quarter, that last minute, that last run.
The All-Star break happened right after Kobe's death.
Yeah.
It was, pretty traumatic for a lot of the players. So
True. Yeah, I'm hoping at least that fourth quarter with the first 24. I hope at least that's competitive. The first 3 quarters are a joke, then so be it. But at least give something real to the game if you're being chosen to be there and represent the NBA. At least do something real for that bit of time.
Right.
But switching to more of the players, luckily Devin Booker and Domantas Sabonis got in.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a luck of the draw that the 2 guys get hurt, that they get to jump in because they were completely snubbed and just killed that they should not.
Yeah,
they
by far the 2 biggest snubs that the NBA had.
Yeah. You can make some arguments for a couple other guys, but nothing that's actually impactful enough to stick. You can be like, oh, he's playing at a high level, but then you look at the team, and the team's playing at a really crap low level. They're not even in a playoff seeding position currently. It's guys like that. So those are only 2 guys that were going to get robbed, but got lucky that they got in. So besides that, I don't have a huge issue with the All-Star game.
Yeah, I don't either.
All the players are deserving to be there.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree, actually, because everyone else, as you said, I have a few names: Mike Conley, Bam Adebayo, Chris Middleton. There's pretty easy ways to explain why they're not on the team.
Right.
Whether it be team success, stats aren't quite there, went through a slump right as the voting is going on.
Right.
Things of that nature. So, and that kind of happens. But let me ponder you with this question. So let's say Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant are not hurt and they're playing, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously I would have picked Devin Booker and Domantas Sabonis to be on these teams. So, who are you taking off these rosters in replace of them?
That's a good question. I'm about to steer your list here so I can get a better view because as good as I am, I can't remember 20 names in about 3 minutes here. So if I'm looking at Domantas Sabonis out of the East, honestly, I'd probably take Jaylen Brown out at first look.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you already have Jason Tatum in there. Jaylen Brown's a great young player, but he's not a guy, to me, that's going to be a star of the league. He's going to be he's an all-star and he's a great player, but I'm thinking top-tier star of the league.
Okay.
You think top echelon.
Let me get you his stats real quick, because I'm pretty sure he's killing it this year.
That's totally fine. I mean, we got to think at the same time, Domantas Sabonis is at career highs in every category this season as well.
Yeah, no, and Domantas Sabonis has the second most double-doubles in the NBA this year.
So if it's not Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle is a hard one. He's also having a record high year.
Yeah,
he's playing lights out, but his team is in a situation where his team is not playing lights out, to say the least. So, I mean, you can make an argument between either of those guys. Jaylen Brown probably a little bit of a rougher argument to try to make. It's just a guy that's he's already been around, and the Celtics as a whole, again, they're not performing great. I mean, they're 1 game under 500 right now. And so it's another guy's you can make an argument that, hey, just switch him out.
Team success.
Team success would be playing a role in both of those.
Yeah.
It's not a huge. It's something that there's a couple guys. I mean, you take Zach LaVine out. He's a great player, all around stud. But again, Chicago Bulls are a dumpster fire right now.
yeah.
So I mean, there's multiple guys on the list that all playing lights out this season, making career high moves and points per game, rebounds per game, assists, whatever it may be.
Right.
But their team success is below 500 or maybe not even a top 8 seeding position for playoff status. So any of those guys you can remove and to put Sabonis in there.
I'd fight you on Jaylen Brown. He's averaging 25, 5 and 4.
Okay.
So
he's probably the hardest one to make.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine and Julius Randle are probably the easiest ones to pull out.
Zach LaVine's averaging almost 29 points a game right now.
Yeah, well, he's the only guy that's making the Bulls anywhere close to winning a game. So.
Hey, don't hit on Kobe White. He's doing his thing.
Get out of here with this guy. So on the west side of things, you got Devin Booker. That one's a lot harder one. Honestly, that's a hard one because you're looking at more of your guards to pull out, more of your one and twos, and all the 1 and 2s on this list are, by far more deserving. Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Dame Lillard, Paul George. You can put him as technically a 2. He can float 2 or 3. And you got Luka and Steph on there. That's 1 and 2. Like those are hard guys to pull out and be like,
they are.
Devin Booker, here you go. If I was gonna choose anyone, I don't know. Maybe I probably wouldn't even pull out a guard. I'd probably pull Zion out. He's well deserving. He's been lights out again. His team success is average. It's not as bad as some of the other ones on the East side of things, but he's still developing a lot. So him not being in an All-Star game, his second season, no one's going to be throw a huge fit about it. It's still his second year,
right?
And it will be in multiple throughout his career. I think we can all say that he's going to be in an All-Star game for a long time. So I'll probably pull Zion out. Devin Booker's more established in the NBA. He's got more tenure, more of a talented, all-around asset.
Right.
For skill level right now.
Right.
So I'd probably pull Zion just this year.
I kind of lean towards Zion also to replace with Devin Booker. Now, granted, that's not a knock on Zion. Zion is having a hell of a year. He's actually shooting 61% on 2-point shots.
Yeah.
But that's because I think he's shooting 90% of his shots are within the paint.
I think they're all within 2 feet of the hoop.
Yeah. So he's certainly playing in his sweet spot.
Yeah.
And not really venturing out of it at all. And that will come with time. He's shown that he can knock down the 3. So I think you're right. I think he's going to develop. He's already a star. Yeah. He starts to put in these other assets. Plus, in the last about month, the Pelicans have completely changed their offense where he's averaging 10 pick and rolls as the ball handler now. So his assist rate is up to 6 assists or something along those lines already. So he'll be a huge star going forward, especially when you start letting him become a playmaker like that.
Yeah,
he'll be great.
The next decade it will be Zion, probably 8 All-Star games, if not 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
but minimum 8.
On the East side, if we're talking about trying to get into Domantas Sabonis. Honestly, I would probably go towards Ben Simmons. I know they play different positions, but the reason for that is because Simmons is not the reason that the 76ers are a great team. His stats aren't amazing.
No.
I think he's more there on reputation this year than what he's actually doing on the court. The Sixers are going wherever Joel Embiid takes them, not where...
Yeah, I'd say he's been entirely overshadowed by Embiid this season.
Yeah, for sure. Joel Embiid is one of the leaders in the MVP race for a reason.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's where I would go. Sure, you can fight us on this all you want. Please do, actually.
Yeah, I want to argue with somebody else besides this guy. Come on now.
So the only other sticking point I have, Damian Lillard should have been a starter.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, that's a hard one not to give out.
Yeah, Damian Lillard is having a crazy year. He's doing it without C.J. McCollum for most of the year. Plus, Nurkic's been out again. Zach Collins has been out again. Yeah. He's doing everything on his own. He's out there playing Superman, and he should be there in front of Luka. Luka's been good, not as good as Dame has.
Right, and another thing actually, agreed. Dame's again, he's top 3, top 4 in MVP voting right now. I don't know how you don't put this guy as a starter.
Yeah.
The one thing is weird. There's a weird aura about Luka right now. He came into the year and people were giving him potential MVP type candidate.
I was. He's preseason MVP.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying that though, and it's not a knock on me. I guarantee he wins an MVP in his career.
Right.
I can almost guarantee, maybe even 2. But you're talking this guy. Was it his third year now?
Third year.
And it's he hasn't really. He's played great, but there's not a deep playoff run. There's not a high level winning percentage. They're doing enough to get to playoffs, but they're not really doing enough to get any farther than that.
Right. There's not a lot around him though. As part of Kristaps Porzingis isn't playing the way that they were expecting him to play. Especially the way he's injured a lot. But he had off-season surgery. He's still kind of rounding into form from that. But what we saw, I think a lot of it came from Luka's play in the bubble last year, where he was lights crazy.
Yeah, he was clutch. He was ice in his veins, but
yeah,
it's just one of the things you're talking to a guy that just got coming into his third year. There's not a lot of success in playoffs yet, and he's an all-star stud of a talent, and he will be forever. But it's like you're putting him against guys like Damian Lillard, like Steph Curry, like LeBron James, Joel Embiid, the guys that have a lot bigger of an impact right now than Luka does. So like, that's a hard guy to start. Be like, oh yeah, you're going to be an MVP race this year, and then you're going to be an All-Star starter. It's like you're guys that have a lot more established, that have a lot more facet to their game, and have a lot more impact on their team as well.
Yeah, and you have to remember too, Luka's a child. He's not even 22 years old yet. Like, he's so young. I mean, people forget that he's that young because he played pros in Europe.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that he was playing pro overseas at 16 years old. Like, he's crazy young. And, like, the fact that he's 21 and he's this good already, like, if
That's
he
dangerous.
can continue to improve, especially on his outside shot, which is still a little inconsistent, if he starts to hit that consistently, where he's, you can count on him hitting like 38, 39, 40% from three.
Right.
There's no stopping him.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, yeah, I mean, I'm curious how the All-Star game goes, though. At the end of the day, I wouldn't mind if, like I said, the first 3 quarters are just like lights out, just tossing up ridiculous shots. Steph Curry from the logo every time he grabs the ball. Every time. Throwing oops to LeBron halfway down the court. I mean, full 100-feet passes.
Yeah.
Like, do some fun stuff. But that fourth quarter, when it comes down to crunch time, and then we have the 24 points for Kobe, that's something I was like, you guys better be locked up. Like,
They will.
It'd
be hard not to.
I think they will be too. And you got guys like LeBron that's going to lead the pack. Steph Curry's going to lead the pack. You have like these real guys that really mean a ton to the NBA as a whole.
Yeah.
That are going to out there and they're going to represent the right way. So that part I'm excited for.
For sure. So let's move forward in this a little bit. I don't want to go through doing an entire mock draft as an All-Star game.
Oh, no.
But, so LeBron gets the first pick because he had the most All-Star votes.
Okay.
Who should his first pick be? Out of the whole roster, need that list back?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, might as well. It makes it easier.
While you think about it, I know who I think his first pick should be. It's got to be Giannis. I mean, Giannis is back-to-back MVPs. They were both the captains last 2 years, so he hasn't even had the chance to play with Giannis. I think this is his opportunity to go out there, to be like, yo, Giannis, let's go out there and like let's. I mean, who's scoring on a team that has LeBron and Giannis at the 3 and 4, just doing whatever the hell they want?
I guess that's true. Arm to arm, they can reach from sideline to sideline.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. It's a guy that he hasn't really had a chance to play with, and not even a chance to play against a whole lot either.
Right, opposite.
Completely.
Never made the playoffs because, Milwaukee crumbles in the playoffs.
Crumbles entirely. So I can see that. That one, I can see a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes more like Damian Lillard or Donovan Mitchell, though. I'm thinking he's gonna want a star at the point guard to facilitate him, and he can facilitate to them.
Okay.
Guys are highly explosive that can do anything from anywhere on the court, and those 2 guys, I mean, are playing lights out athleticism wise. What they can do with the ball is never ending.
Right. You wouldn't think if that's the case, he wouldn't go like Steph.
See, but he's played with Steph. They've been in All-Star games plenty of times. They played together against each other multiple times. He knows what Steph can do.
Yeah, he knows what Dame can do. Like, he's played with Dame a bunch too. It's not like that's different. Donovan Mitchell's a little different because he's so young. So I think he's only making the second All-Star appearance.
Those guys, Steph, like I said, Steph's extremely established.
Right.
Like, be honest, I mean, Dame Lillard is established as well, but not to that same extent. So I like those more younger guys, more explosive guys, more on the crisp of all-star, high-level, top echelon type of talent guys. I can see that too.
Okay. Perfect. Well, I'll let you go over and see what you think that Durant's going to take, but I know that answer too.
Hit him with the answer then.
I mean, this is going to be a political thing. He has to take Kyrie Irving first. He has to.
No,
you do. Cause
Kyrie's going to cry in the bathroom because he's not going to get picked first.
No, that's why he's going to get picked first. So you want to make sure that Kyrie's happy. Everyone knows that Kyrie is the most...
He's a crybaby.
Sure, if you want to put it that way.
I mean,
but he's unstable, is what I'm trying to say.
He's got mental...
James Harden has a lot more mental fortitude than Kyrie does. Kevin Durant will take Kyrie Irving to make sure that he's happy. And that's the most important. You gotta remember, this All-Star game in the grand scheme of things means absolutely dick.
That's
right?
True.
So he's gonna take Kyrie. He wants to make sure that Kyrie is in a good headspace for the rest of the season so they make a playoff run and try to get a championship.
Yeah, I guess if Kitty wants to be like the good teammate, be the good Samaritan,
yeah.
I guess. If I'm KD, I'm like, get your shit together, dude. Quit crying about it. Quit crying about whatever anybody says to you in the media. Like, you're here for a reason. You gotta. If you can't deal with some media garbage being thrown at you, how the hell are you gonna go win a championship and be the leader of the team? That's why I'm at. KD probably knows it way differently, obviously, being next to him all the time. But
I mean, and the nice thing with KD, we haven't heard much from Kyrie to the media a whole lot. Like not.
Well, at least he's doing interviews. He's not hiding over the social media anymore.
Right, and he's also being honest. Like when he said like they lost the game. I can't remember to who. It might have been to Washington actually when they let Washington score like 148 points in regulation. Go off, and he was like, I couldn't guard a stick out there. Kyrie said that about himself, and I mean he's not wrong. Kyrie can't guard a stick most nights.
Yeah, he's not a defensive guy.
But it'd be nice to have him show some effort on the defensive side.
Yeah, true.
So, but we'll get into the Nets later. I got some stuff I wanted to talk about the Nets after this All-Star game.
If I'm KD, I want Bradley Beal.
Okay. You can't pick from the other side too.
Oh, I know. Okay, and it's same type of logic from LeBron to pick a younger point guard. Okay. KD is like, when has he ever played with Beal? Maybe a couple times ever, and maybe even against him a couple times in his career as well. Like, and he's playing just at a level that is so absurd. If he's playing at the top,
I think he's scoring 33 a game right now.
I mean, this guy should he's an MVP voting, and he should be more considered for it. Outside, if the Wizards weren't a complete trash can of a team right now, he would be number 1, number 2 in the voting behind LeBron and Embiid.
Probably. I mean, he's averaging 32.8 a game.
I mean, the team is just taking him down a level versus what people, the exposure that he's playing with is so diminished by how trash the Wizards are. Yeah. Like, he should be more recognized.
Honestly, but part of the issue too, because he's shooting so much, he's super inefficient. Yeah. So he's taking 24 shots a game, which is the most in the NBA. He's only shooting 48% from the field total and only 33 from 3.
Yeah, I mean that's not surprising.
And he's known as an elite shooter. Like he needs to be at 38% from 3. He can't not be shooting 33.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I mean he'll get his groove. I wouldn't be surprised if that shot selection comes down with Russell when he gets a little more consistent, chemistry wise. They might increase, but if I'm KD, I want to play with a guy that I have yet to really play with that's playing lights out. I take like Bradley Beal.
Okay, maybe when it goes out of left field, just like takes like maybe LeBron takes like Chris Paul. Like, hey brother,
yeah, what's up, best friend?
Let's do it. So. All right, so the All-Star game should be fun. The one interesting twist they're doing the All-Star game this year, because it's very short, that they're going to do the skills competition, the 3-point competition, and the dunk contest at halftime.
That's insane.
And so, well, maybe not the skills competition, but I know they're doing the 3-point and the dunk. I don't have enough time for the skills also.
Be quick, yeah.
So there's rumors. Obviously, everyone's looking at Zion.
Oh, yeah.
Zion's the new LeBron in terms of, like, are you going to do the dunk contest?
Are you ever going to do it?
You can do it.
Yeah.
And LeBron never did it.
The funny thing is, LeBron in his 18th season at 36 to go do the dunk contest here, and he's going to fucking win it. He might not be the best dunker or the best hype guy, but it's because everybody's ever wanted him to ever do it. Though he could do it in his last season in the NBA when he's 47 and be like, here you go.
47? You aged him a decade, but...
Do you not see how much money he puts into his personal...
$1 million a year.
Like $10 million on average or something like that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, he could play to his 47 if he freaking wants to. In reality,
if he stays healthy, if he can.
I'm just saying, he could literally play another 5 seasons, and his 5th final season, he's like, I want to do the dunk contest. The only thing I haven't accomplished in my career, and people are going to hand him the trophy just so because he finally showed up for
it. You're probably not wrong on that. Especially if you just throw. He might have to do something spectacular. He just goes down and throws just some vicious like tomahawk.
That's all he's always got to do.
So it'd be interesting to see if Zion gets it. It's the only person I know for sure is in it is Obi Toppin, the rookie from New York.
Yeah.
And he had some highlight dunks in college, so I think he's probably a good choice. Zach LaVine says he's probably not doing it.
Yeah, I mean he already has a chance.
I think he's won twice. Actually,
he won back to back. I'd like to see Dennis Smith Jr. get in on that. He's a dude that's got some crazy hops.
I've not heard that name.
Did you not see his dunk he had the other night? He had a breakaway dunk that somebody tossed up. The ball was bouncing. I mean, it had a huge bounce on it. Yeah. He grabbed it. He was full sprint by himself down the court. Grabbed it, bounced it again, and just hopped up and grabbed it down. I mean, the dude jumped 12 feet in the air. It's ridiculous.
Know who I would really
He's got some hops, though.
Know who I would really like to see? The rookie from Minnesota, Edwards.
Oh,
Did you see his dunk the other? I think it was last week. It was
disgusting.
It was one of the best dunks I've ever seen. He destroyed this kid. I don't even know who he dunked on.
I don't know his name
I
either.
didn't recognize his face. I didn't recognize his name.
He doesn't have a face no more.
Yeah. I mean, oh my goodness.
It was bad. I mean, that dunk blew up Twitter.
Oh yeah,
quick.
Deservedly so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Michael Wilbon, who's on Pardon the Interruption on ESPN, said, and he's been covering the NBA for 40 years.
Yeah.
And he's not. And if you know anything, if you watch PTA at all, you know he's kind of the get off my lawn type of old man at this point.
Yeah, don't argue with me anymore.
He's a little crotchety, right? And he goes, this is probably one of the top 5 dunks I've ever seen. And he very rarely puts out praise like that.
Yeah, he's seen it all.
He really has. So, I mean, that if you haven't seen the dunk, go look up Edwards' dunk from about a week ago against the Raptors, I believe it was.
I think it was the Raptors, yeah.
He's had a few, but like that one, crazy.
Crazy. So let's move on past the All-Star kind of shenanigan of a weekend.
Yeah.
Let's hit some MVP voting right now. We've mentioned a couple times through the guys that are in the All-Star game. Who do you think is a front runner? I mean, obviously, I'll list them real quick. I mean, LeBron, Joel Embiid, Dame Lillard, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, and Donovan Mitchell, all kind of top 6 right now. They're all in that conversation consistently. Mm-hmm. Who are you looking at right now? You kind of what about midway through the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, LeBron's always going to be in the conversation. Deservedly so, especially this year with him having to take on more of a role, playing. He's leading the NBA in minutes for the month of February. He has not done that since, I think it said 2003. I think it was rookie season last time he led the NBA in minutes in a specific month. He's 38 or 37, whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. He's really old to be leading the NBA in minutes right now, you know? So he'll be in it. Joel Embiid's having a great season, and a lot of people actually have him as the front runner right now. Yeah. The one person I feel like is getting lost in all this, which is crazy to me, is Nikola Jokic. I see him a lot of times like 3rd and 4th in different power rankings. Yeah. This dude is averaging 27 points, 11 boards, and 8.5 assists a game. Not to mention 2.4 block and steals combined per game. Yeah. That's insane. And then he's also leading the NBA in estimated wins added. He's added 12 wins to the Nuggets record based off his play. Wow. 12. That's by far the most. The next guy is Joel Embiid, who's just under 9 wins.
Yeah, I think the only reason that Jokic is being put underneath the majority is because the Nuggets have not performed to the level we expected. After how they played in the West Conference Finals, I mean, they were up 3-1 against the Lakers until the Lakers...
Clippers.
They had a lead on the Lakers, too, I'm pretty sure. The West Conference Finals.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They were down 3-1 against the Clippers, came back and won.
Yeah, they had a lead against in the Lakers series.
I think just by a game. That wasn't 3-1.
Was it 3-1, maybe 2-1? But either way, they came in like, okay, these Nuggets teams, this is real. You know, they finally stabbed and shoved. They got over the hump. They came in the season, and they're not performing at the same level. Looks like they kind of took a step back. So I think that's why Jokic is getting kind of pushed down a little bit.
They lost a lot of guys. I mean, Torrey Craig went out and got paid. Yeah. They lost. Really, the biggest thing, they lost 2. There's another guy who lost. His name is. I'm losing his name at the moment, but they had 2 defensive anchors on that team that are gone now. Gary Harris isn't playing very well, and granted, he's been kind of going downhill for the last 3 years, but
yeah. Again, you talk about team success. I mean, that's gonna be a driving factor.
Yeah, for sure.
So that for me right now, I brought this up before the show, and I want to get into it because LeBron's in the conversation every year, rightfully so, and will be his entire career remaining. I mean, this is not going to change, and there's no argument. I totally agree with this. But I want to take this as the picture of LeBron's not in the voting race. LeBron's retired. He's not even in the league anymore. All right, I just want to look at this different because you're gonna look at this differently because any guy that you're gonna look at MVP, you're gonna almost compare. Can he beat LeBron's image, his dominance in the NBA? Can you take it over enough to win an MVP? You know, the guys we have seen done it. Steph Curry with his remarkable seasons that he did with the back-to-back championships. You saw Russell Westbrook do it, averaging triple doubles. I mean, it takes big feats to take over LeBron's pedigree as an MVP. Even though he hasn't won in years, the guys have won over him.
He hasn't won in 8 years.
which is crazy. He probably should have deserved one or two of those. But the guys that did win did some ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Steph Curry, he won the unanimous MVP.
First ever.
Yeah, first ever, which is stupid in its own right that there were guys that did like the people that vote on MVP. Like, how did Michael Jordan probably should have won unanimously a couple of times. Like, it's stupid that people do that just out of spite, almost.
Yeah, true.
So like there should have been but cool, first ever. He shot crazy. He had 410 3-point makes that year, which is by far a record. Things of that nature. Yeah, Russell Westbrook historically average triple double first time since Oscar Robertson did.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. Giannis, the last 2 years, is playing out of his mind.
Yeah. So the guys that did take it over from him more than rightfully deserved it.
Yeah.
So if you take LeBron out of it, let's look at the guys: Joel Embiid, Dame Lillard, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, and Donovan Mitchell. Are those guys playing at that type of level to take this from LeBron? That's my question here. Not
all of them. Again, I think Nikola Jokic is too far down the list for most power rankings, which is weird to me. And you're right. Team success has something to do with it. So he could, and they could end up getting back. His numbers are pretty crazy. So it seems like Joel Embiid's the only one right now that most people have
right
in front of LeBron, if they don't have LeBron already in first place at the moment. And that's really because, he's playing crazy. He's averaging 30 and 11.
30-11. I mean, he's over a block a game and over steals per game as well.
Yeah, 2.6 blocks and steals combined per game.
Yeah.
So, he's playing great, but it's also part of the MVP. It's not just raw stats. It's the impact on the game and the dominance. Joel Embiid is dominating like a big. We haven't seen a big man do since probably like Shaq.
Right.
Where you could just give him the ball and he would just bully people underneath. But Joel Embiid can also come out and hit a 3-point shot.
He has a
decent little 3-point stroke, which is pretty impressive. There's this clip from a couple weeks ago where he's coming around the corner up the top of the key. He goes up to shoot, and he's trying to get fouled, and they just bypass him, and so he's just this weird little push shot of a 3, and he hits it.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know Joel Embiid could even do that.
He probably shoots a better 3-point than Ben Simmons does. Actually, no,
that's guaranteed.
He's guaranteed. Yeah, it's guaranteed. I'll just change that.
Ben Simmons has attempted 4 3-point shots in his career.
Yeah. So that's kind of my point, because it's hard to ever say LeBron's not going to win it, because most guys can't take over that image of what he holds,
right?
The pedigree. So if you take LeBron out of the conversation, Embiid's the only guy right now to that level.
Okay.
Damian Lillard, like we said, Damian Lillard's playing out of his mind, carrying the Trailblazers. But it's not the same as what Embiid's doing. Team success, again, not the same.
Right. They're in first place in the East.
Yeah.
Which would be 6th place in the West, but
yeah, true. And Steph Curry, the same thing. He's playing at a level stat-wise that was similar to the 2014, 2015, 2016 seasons.
Yeah, he is.
But team success, not dominant. They're not doing 72 and 8 type of wins. Nikola Jokic, like you said, is being taken down a notch. People aren't recognizing him, and I don't know if that's partly team success. Partly his name doesn't carry as much. There's not as much weight behind it naturally as the other guys.
I think part of it too is his style of play.
That it just is.
He's such a willing and open passer.
Yeah.
That people they expect him, because he's so big, to be more like Joel Embiid.
Right.
Bully people down, which he can, but his game is more graceful, where he likes it's floaters and jump hooks and
right.
Hitting the open man, things like that. He's just a different type of player.
Yeah. Agreed. And then Donovan Mitchell is still a younger guy. Still needs a little bit more development. I think he's rightfully to be in the MVP voting a little bit at the very end, obviously.
Yeah, I don't have him in my top 6.
So for me, he's at 6. If you put LeBron in, if you take LeBron out, he's at 5.
Okay.
So he's at the very end, and that's because he's playing lights out. He needs a lot more development to actually get forward more. So none of those guys can take over LeBron's pedigree of what can win an MVP.
Yeah,
Embiid's the only one that's close. But Embiid needs to continue this all season long. He cannot drop off. He cannot get hurt, or it's LeBron's for the taking.
For sure. Embiid has a pretty long injury history in his career, even going back to college. So, and luckily he's avoided the major injury in the NBA. Like in college, he played 6 games and was out the rest of the year before he came into the NBA. But he's had a lot of just nagging injuries, things that just keep reoccurring, coming back, and he's misses a week here, misses 2 weeks there. So it's really rough, and
Yeah.
LeBron's there every night, guaranteed.
Yeah. He don't stop. He does not stop.
He's the Terminator.
He might be. He really might be.
He's probably not human.
No, yeah, it's terrifying.
He's
It's
I mean, if he's not a cyborg, he's from another planet.
Proof aliens exist. LeBron James.
He's gonna prove it in Space Jam too. He's gonna throw something in there.
He's just gonna morph into one of the monsters.
I don't know. He's gonna throw some little cookie in there for us to be like, what? And be like, oh yeah, LeBron's not human.
He's not human. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. I don't think anybody would even be mad.
I'd be like, I do it.
We all fucking do it. So, I think at the end of the day, LeBron still wins it this year. I don't think Embiid can keep up the play without injury. And I don't think. And LeBron, no matter what, is going to be there. He's not going to get hurt, and he's still going to will the team to enough wins to be number 1, number 2 seed in the West.
Maybe the 3. The Clips are still playing.
They'll
really
pull it
well.
up. If he gets AD back within 4 weeks, like he's saying, it's supposed to be a 4-week timetable. They'll probably make a push to the end of the playoffs, get them into the 2 seed, unless the Jazz fall off, which is possible.
Could be. I mean, and we're gonna get to the Jazz here just momentarily.
Yeah.
As we move into the second half, but I completely agree with you with LeBron James. I mean, it just kind of it's been so long since he's won. It's almost like God. Have we forgotten how good LeBron is? It's like we've been looking for people to not give him the award.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it seems like this year it's finally well, no one's playing amazingly, and LeBron still is playing at the same level he has been his entire career.
He hasn't dropped off. Speaking of LeBron, before we move in, I do want to move into a couple of top teams here.
Yeah.
LeBron, 35,000 points just a week or two ago. 3rd player ever. I was looking at him we all would say he has an easy chance of catching Kareem and being the 1-point leader. So I was like, okay, let's see how close he really is. Obviously,
he's close.
He's about 3,400 points away, 3,300 points away now that it's been a week or two. And I was looking at he's averaged, out of 18 seasons in the NBA, he's averaged 25 points a game, 17 out of 18 seasons. For him to beat Kareem or match Kareem, he needs 24 games I wrote down? 134 games, regular season games only.
Yeah.
Averaging 25 points a game to get to Kareem. Not including playoffs, not including finals runs. So you're talking that's
this year or next.
That's literally by the end of the next year he should be passing him if he can, because he's gonna get playoff. He's gonna get all those extra games in, no matter what. Even if he doesn't make it to the finals, you're gonna guarantee an extra 10 playoff games this season and next season. You're talking 154 games of him 25 plus points a game.
Yep.
He's passing Kareem by the end of next season.
For sure. And I saw this. There was one argument about who would you consider the greatest scorer of all time, and someone made the argument that LeBron came into the league earlier than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because obviously back then you had to go to college. Mm-hmm. But the difference is that when LeBron catches him, LeBron will actually have played less total seasons than Kareem did.
Yeah.
Kareem ended up playing, I think it was 20 seasons. That I might be able to look it up here right quick. But and LeBron's going to pass him in his 18th season.
No, it would be 19.
19th season. So he said
he'll be his one season
he'll
under.
do it a year faster than Kareem did.
Right.
Which is crazy. Go ahead and keep going. Let me find this real quick.
Yeah, I'll let you hit that. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. I mean, huge shout out to him. But I think he definitely passes by the next season, like I was saying. I think that's a guarantee based on what he's averaging his entire career.
Yeah, he played 20 seasons, so he would break his record in a season earlier than Kareem did.
Yeah, you're talking 80 games under, 82 games under guaranteed, or more, depending on.
Right, and you can't say that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't rack up a ton of points in the playoffs, because he did. He was
he was a monster.
He won a championship in Milwaukee and won multiple championships. I think it was either 4 or 5 with the Lakers.
Right.
So he was in the finals, year after year after year, as LeBron has been.
True. So moving off of that, I want to get into a couple teams here and kind of overview of what we're seeing in the NBA currently.
Yeah, for sure.
For the most part, I mean, you can look at the Nets, the Celtics, the Lakers, and the Jazz.
They're kind of the biggest talking points in the NBA so far.
Maybe we put the Clippers in there, but we did it for this episode.
The Clippers have been
quiet.
Even though they're second in the West right now.
They've been quiet, which is kind of interesting. So I want to jump into a couple of these teams, and some of them are playing lights out. Some of them are like, what is going on with this team right now?
Some are in the middle.
Some are kind of in the middle. I want to put the Nets at the end of this.
Okay.
Because I have something I want to bring up with you, and I know you're going to have a good time with this topic.
Yes.
So we're going to do the Nets at the
Juicy.
end here. So let's start with what the hell is going on here. Let's look at the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, right now they're 4th in the East. They're at 16 and 17.
They're 7th in the East.
They dropped to 7th?
Yeah, they're 7th in the East.
Oh, excuse me. My rankings were wrong when I looked 12 hours ago.
Yeah, you maybe just wrote it down wrong.
Maybe I did.
Your doctor handwriting.
Yeah, it's for real. But they're 16 and 17. They're one game under 500. And if you look at any person on any talk show anywhere, they're like, what the hell? This team is a lot better, talented-wise, all around, organized from Danny Ainge to Brad Stevens to all the player talent. They're 10 times better than the 500 team.
Yeah. And on top of that, in the last 10, they're 4-6. So they're trending the wrong direction also.
Yeah.
They did get a win last night, and actually Kemba Walker finally showed up.
Yeah, 32 points, season high.
Yeah.
Rolling to a victory.
And that's been one of the issues. So, I mean, as you said, in terms of how good this team is, this team has been to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 of the last 4 years. Like, they have the talent to do so. So, I mean, obviously there's a couple major factors that go into this. Marcus Smart's been hurt for a lot of the season so far. I mean, he's their one...
He's the heart of the team.
Yeah, he really is.
He's the energizer bunny out there
for
on
sure.
the court.
I mean, his defensive intensity makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Kemba Walker, until last night, has not been playing like the Kemba Walker we know.
True.
And then on top of that, they don't have really any size down low. They have Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice, who are not like shot blockers or rim protectors.
Yeah.
I mean, Tristan Thompson is probably the best offensive rebounder in the game, which is great for second chance points, but he's not he's not going to go out there and be able to stop him from getting to the paint. And Daniel Tice definitely ain't.
No, Daniel Tice is not that type of physical player. What was interesting when I was looking through this, I didn't look at the stats. I didn't look at points per game, rebounds per game, stuff like that. I looked at head coach. I looked at Brad Stevens by himself.
Okay.
Because I was looking at, and Stephen A. Smith was arguing that he believes Brad Stevens is in trouble. He thinks he's in he's got a short leash right now, and he said this because after they went on like a 3-game losing skid where they had a couple teams, they had to come back. The Wizards came back from like 24 points down to beat the Celtics. They had the Mavs beat them. Luka hit that game-winning shot of the Mavs the game later. They're 1-4 in the last 4 games. And he came out. Danny Ainge came out and was like, our team looks like it's not playing with any type of intensity. Like it looks like they're not caring out there right now.
Okay.
Stephen A. Smith was on First Take the next day, and he was like, I think he's in trouble. Anytime in my career I've ever watched a GM executive from the front office say, my team is not playing with any type of intensity, any type of willpower, caringness for the game, he goes, that's a direct correlation to how well can that coach motivate his team. And if that coach is not able to do that, then that coach is in trouble. So Stephen A. thinks that Brad Stevens is in trouble. So then I was like, okay, that's an interesting take. I know Brad Stevens is a great coach. He was a great coach in college at Butler. Mm-hmm. Came in, took over the Celtics, three out of 4 Eastern Conference Finals trips. I mean, he's been a great coach.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let's go look at his record since he's gotten to the NBA. So he said this is 6 seasons with the Celtics. He's at a 57% win percentage, or 56%. He's 332 wins, 263 losses.
It's good.
That's just solid win percentage. Playoff, he's at 50%. He's 11 for 17. That's wrong. That is so wrong. It's 40%. Excuse me. Again, doctor handwriting.
Bad math.
Bad maths.
That's right. I couldn't math last week. It's the journey.
So I had to switch off. So I was like, okay, let's compare that to other guys in the league. So I went to I looked at Eric Spoelstra from Miami. I looked at Greg Popovich. Like, what is their career winning percentage? Eric Spoelstra and Greg Pop, they were both at Greg's at 67. He's obviously up there. He's been one of the best coaches all time. Eric Spoelstra's at 61. I mean, I looked at some of these high level guys that have multiple seasons in there, and he's not far underneath these guys.
Right.
So I'm like, what are you looking at, Stephen A. Smith, that you're thinking that this guy's going to get fired, potentially, or he's in a hot seat?
Well, as you said, not playing with intensity is a problem.
Yeah.
But you also got to realize that at this point in the season, we're leading up to the All-Star break. We're kind of in the dog days of the season.
Right.
Like the beginning of the season, you're kind of hyped at the beginning of the season. You have adrenaline for that. You're always ready to play.
Right.
You're obviously not. We're too far away from the playoffs to get excited about. Hey, we're gonna make a playoff run. So you're kind of in like that. The middle of that season's kind of slump, and you see this from a lot of teams. It's not like they're the only ones.
Right.
So I mean, I think that's probably what he's seeing, and I don't know why he makes him think he's in trouble. Like this is a common thing, happens on a lot of teams, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. Personally, I think the issue with this team is Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has not constructed this roster very well for this season. Again, they don't have a decent five at all.
No. Their depth is horrible, too. If you look at the roster, outside of the top five, you have one or two guys that even have a name to themselves in any type of way, and their name has always been as a bench player.
Yeah.
They don't have any other guys come off the bench.
The only person that has been a starter for most of his career is Jeff Teague, who is basically non-existent on this team. I mean, there's just nothing. Like, he's just not contributing in, like, any way.
Yeah, and even when he was a starter, too, it's not like he was an all-star type of guy. He was a decent...
He was a fringer.
Fringer, consistently, but he was never a guy that got over the hump. So, for the Celtics, I don't know what they need to do. They need to make some moves, I think.
They need to make a move.
They need to get some big guys and guys with some intensity on the defensive side, I think.
I got a fix.
What's the fix?
Andre Drummond.
That's a big contract to pull in.
So what? The NBA is all about the luxury tax anyways. Right. You got the money, dude. It's not like it's not a hard cap like in the NFL where you can't go over it, right? The NBA lets you go wishy-washy. So there's like,
True.
Just go get Andre Drummond, give you a real presence on the inside. Some dude that eats up rebounds like it's a freaking vending machine.
True.
And he can be a rim protector for you. So I think Andre Drummond's the perfect fit for that. Let Tristan Thompson go back to the Cavs.
Yeah, seriously, send him out. So that's a good fix. I like that. I think they do need to make a move.
Yeah, I also think they missed Gordon Hayward more than they thought they would.
Gordon Hayward's having a good season.
He's scoring 22. He's averaging 22 points a game for Charlotte right now.
Yeah, he's looking good. Let's see if they make a move. Let's see if they make a move, and they should if they're going to want to make another Eastern Conference Finals run.
They can't just wait for Marcus Smart to come back and think that's going to fix everything.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not. So let's move into the Lakers.
Yep.
They're 23-11. They're third in the West currently. They're a half game behind the Clippers at number 2 and 3.5 games behind the Jazz at number 1.
Right.
Obviously, I think the biggest situation right now is AD being gone. LeBron doesn't have a counterpart, and that's pretty obvious. The funny thing is when I'm looking at it, I was like, okay, that's all. That's pretty standard. Anybody's going to say that. Like, oh, yeah, without AD, it's not the same team.
Yeah, you're missing one of the top 5, 6, or 7 players in the league.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you lose him, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, and so like I want to look at those stats. So they're 8th in rebounds a game. They're second in points allowed per game. So the defense, they're stopping guys pretty easily. But they're 16th in points per game. Mm-hmm. They're right in the middle of the pack. And, I mean, AD's only been out a week or so. Not as long, so you can't take into account, like, they dropped significantly. This team needs more scoring. If they're going to keep up with these guys that are putting up 110, 115 points on average at the top 5 points per game teams, they need to get up the scoring.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Luckily, defensively, especially when Davis is on the floor, their defense is not good when he's gone because he's so versatile on the defensive end. He's a rim protector. He can go out and cover basically 2 through 5, if need be. So, their defense lacks a lot when he's not there because there's very little rim protection behind him.
True.
Unlike last year. Now, granted, I think Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol are better overall than the combination of Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee were last year.
Yeah.
But at least those two actually gave you some rim protection where Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol really don't.
Yeah, they're not. Marc Gasol a little bit more.
Marc Gasol used to be. Marc Gasol was a reigning defensive player of the year, back in his prime. But he's as old as LeBron is.
He's as old as LeBron is. So how did the Lakers fix anything, or do you just need AD healthy to make the playoff run?
I think it's more waiting on AD. The bigger issue with the Lakers is that even if they want to make a move, they're so strapped on assets and cash and all this stuff, like they couldn't.
Yeah.
Like they have so little wiggle room to make a move. It's gonna be impossible. So I think it's just waiting out for AD to come back. Dennis Schroeder is back now. They had that 4-game skid. Dennis Schroeder in his first game back, they came out and they beat the Trailblazers last night. So that was the other thing. Like people were like, oh, what's wrong with the Lakers? Well, they were missing 2 of their guys, and 2 of their best. They're missing their 2 best defensive players, and Dennis Schroeder and Anthony Davis.
True.
And so the second that came back, and last night Dennis Schroeder put up 23 points in 32 minutes in his first game back.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I think the Lakers are just in a point of injury where they just LeBron's got to hold down the fort, which he probably will.
Yeah.
And then just keep him in the top 1, 2, 3 seeding and make a good playoff push.
And what they're doing with AD, you have to it's a Achilles type injury.
Yeah.
You can't give. You don't want that's like you have to baby that. Like, do not let him come back until he's 100%. The issue is they kind of already messed that up because he had missed like 4 games in a row, and then they're like, well, maybe he's kind of day to day, and then that night he came back and got hurt again.
Yeah.
And I remember when I heard that he was playing, I was like, they shouldn't do that. It's an Achilles. You gotta let him be back 100%. It's not worth what could happen right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, not at all.
And this is a couple weeks ago before he
Before, yeah, and then the injury was only supposed to be a 2 or 3 week, and then after 2 weeks got pushed another 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's obviously a little more severe than they thought. And it's definitely him playing for even a half a game before he's re-injured. It does not help anything. It definitely extends the.
If he's not 100% before he comes back, then he's gonna get hurt again.
Yeah.
That's gonna be an issue.
It's gonna be a huge issue. So they need to be healthy for the Lakers to make a playoff push. So let's look at the top team in all of the NBA.
Yep.
The Jazz, the number 1 in the West, the best record in the league. They're 26-7.
26-7.
And they're on a tear. I mean, the last 20 games, they've been lights out.
Yeah, they finally lost last night. The Miami Heat took. They had a 10-game win streak.
Jimmy Butler
went off.
Did his thing.
Jimmy Butler did Jimmy Butler things.
Yeah. And so when I look at the Jazz, I look at a couple things. They have the biggest points per game and points allowed per game difference.
Mm.
Their plus minus and points is +9, the biggest difference in the NBA by far.
I saw +10 last night.
Okay, so it moved up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're also second in rebounds a game, so up there as well. I think the biggest success factor is their depth. If you look at their depth on their bench, they have 4 guys that come off the bench that were all starters literally last season or the season before that. Derek Favors was the starter for the Jazz just a year or 2 ago before Rudy Gobert came in and went lights out, and they made a couple trades as well.
Yeah, so it was Rudy Gobert and Derek Favors like 2 years ago, and he got traded away to make room to keep Paul Millsap in the rotation.
He actually went to the Pelicans for 1 year.
Yeah, and now he's back.
But he's been a starter. Joe Ingles still there. He just started last year before they made a trade. Jordan Clarkson has been a starter his entire career, even though he was in Cleveland.
But not in Utah.
Not in Utah. But he was a starter last year in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then you have Bojan Bogdanovic, who was a starter as well last year for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
So you have 4 guys come off the bench. All 4 of your second team were all starters last season. So you have a huge amount of depth. And then you have Donovan Mitchell just playing at the prime of his career currently.
Right.
That we've seen.
I mean, Jordan Clarkson, for sure. I mean, he's the leading candidate for the 6th man of the year, and it's not even close, honestly.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing lights out. But, yeah, let's run through some stats. So they are 3rd in points per game, 116 points that they score. 2nd in points allowed per game at 106. That's a 10-point differential,
10-point difference.
Which is 1st in the league. You said they were 2nd in rebounds. I saw that on ESPN that they were 1st in rebounds per game at just under 49.
Okay. Even better.
They are 1st in 3-point field goals made per game at 17.
Nice.
And 3rd in percentage. And on top of that, they're only 8th in fouls given up per game at just under 19.
They're really. I mean, at the end of the day, they're a really strict and efficient team.
Yeah.
They don't give up easy buckets. They don't give out easy fouls, and they make all the shots they're supposed to make at the end of the day. So my question is, I mean, and I want to make this a little quick, because I'm really excited to get to the very last topic before we end this one. Can they sustain? Do you think they can sustain the number 1 seed in the West, or do you think the Clippers or Lakers catch them towards the end?
So I have a similar question, but I have mine a little different. Through the regular season, yes, I think they'll end up being the number 1 seed.
Okay.
They have enough of a lead, and sure, it's only 3 games. It's not like it's a ton of games, or 4 games from the Lakers.
Right.
So it's not a ton. But I think how well they're playing. The Lakers obviously were waiting for AD to come back. I think they'll end up for the 1st seed. My question is that going to matter in the playoffs? Are they going to be able to get past the Clippers and the Lakers in the playoffs?
No.
Which is where it matters.
No.
And I think the same thing. I think this could be the start of something great.
It's the start, yeah. If they can keep these pieces there and they keep developing, the next 5 years we're going to see some really great things out of Utah. But they don't have the playoff experience to take down the Clippers or the Lakers, or even the other guys. I mean, you get Golden State, who's like a 7-8 seed. That's going to be a dangerous series, regardless of the record.
For sure. I mean, and the way the NBA goes, I mean, you see this with almost every team. There's like a baptizing that happens in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Where like There's one team that you can't get past. You
Yeah.
can't get past. I mean, and to everybody, it's crazy. Even happened to Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
The Detroit Pistons beat up on the Bulls in the playoffs for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And then they got Scottie Pippen and it changed.
Yeah, they smashed them. Yeah, so, not yet. This year they might be the 1 seed and then 1 seed going into the West playoffs. They might be the best record in the NBA still, but they don't have the playoff experience yet to take down some of these.
I think they need one more year before become a real threat.
Yeah, they might win a playoff season this year, especially if they get they get that 7-8 seed. They'll probably win, but I don't think they make it past second round.
See, I think they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. Because I think they have the ability to beat either the Clippers or the Lakers, depending on who they end up playing.
Right.
I don't think they'll have enough to beat both.
If they have to go Lakers, one series, Clippers, like Eastern Conference Finals, or vice versa.
Because eventually that's what's going to happen. You'll end up having to play both of them more than likely.
Back series, yeah. True. Yeah, and I think next year we're going to start looking at Western Conference Finals runs for the next couple seasons and maybe championship runs if they can keep the momentum moving forward.
Right. The only issue for them, and granted, they did just lock up Gobert and Mitchell before the season.
Yeah.
So they're both there for I think 4 more years.
You got your key pieces.
But the Clippers and the Lakers are in the same boat.
Yeah.
They're centerpieces of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Now, granted, Kawhi Leonard can opt out after this year, so that could be a little different.
We'll see.
If he finds that he's not happy being in LA, that he thinks that they needed to, whatever, he can be gone. But the Lakers are locked up with LeBron and AD for the next couple of years.
Right.
So they still have their own roadblocks going in.
True.
Just real quick before we get to the Nets, you talked about the Warriors being a tough out for a team, being if they come in at like the 7 or 8 seed, right? Know what team people really need to be scared of? And I thought could be really good any season is the Blazers. They are 5th in the West right now without most of their starters. You're missing Nurkic. You're missing Collins. You're missing McCollum. I mean, you're missing 3 guys that are significant contributors. Like literally.
True.
I mean, you got Dame 1, McCollum 2, Nurkic 3, and then Collins probably 5 now after Gary Trent Jr. in terms of just like the best players on that team.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they get those guys healthy and they get into the playoffs and they come in as a 5, 6, 7 seed.
No one wants to see them.
No, they're gonna push 7 games, win or loss, more than likely. They're gonna be a dangerous team. That'll be interesting. Yeah, I want to see. Let's see how that plays out throughout the season. If those guys come back healthy, and what kind of push they can make.
And think about it this way too: is there another player in the league you'd rather have the ball in his hands on a last second shot than Dame Lillard?
Right now, no. In the last season and 2, he is the most clutch guy in the league currently.
I mean, he's crazy.
He'll hit anything from anywhere.
He's as cold-blooded as a person can get.
He's cold-blooded reptile. So let's move to the last team, the last quick topic here.
Yeah.
The Nets. They're 22-13 or 22-12, excuse me. They're number 2 in the East, right behind the Sixers. Obviously, Katie's hurt. It's a hamstring kind of pull. Nothing serious. She should be back. No problem.
They thought he'd be back before this week, and then they're pushing it back a couple more weeks.
I think that's just a play. I think he's like, I don't give a fuck about the All-Star game. Let me just rest, and we can really make a big push through the second half of the season.
Right.
Because more likely, it's not like it's worse than we thought. I think it's more like I don't need to actually play.
Maybe they're just being careful with it.
Yeah. I think they're more worried about the long-term thing.
It's not like, clearly, they haven't necessarily need him so far. They're still putting up points like crazy. They're winning games.
Yeah.
Like, James Harden's playing out of his mind.
True. So I'm not really about the Katie thing. I am worried a little bit about their depth. I look at their bench. They really don't have much guys. The only guys that have a name to them is Landry Shamet and Jeff Green, who are both not big-level names that have not played a high level of NBA consistently.
They're good complementary
players.
Complementary,
but not enough. And then they did just assign a Monchumber to a 10-day contract as well. So we'll see if he can actually make the team and he can play at a decent level. Besides that, they have no depth. So when it comes to playoff, they got to do a 7-game series against a tough team. And they were talking. You're playing Kyrie and James Harden and KD 40 minutes a night, like all the time, to pull out their 7-game series. That's gonna be hard for them to make a deep finals run. Especially bearing any injuries that could potentially happen, especially given KD's history recently and Kyrie's entire career history of injury.
Right.
So who knows where that goes? So that's a little worrisome. But my main topic, my thing to you is, because I know Tyler, if nobody knows, is a huge Kobe Bryant fan, ginormous Kobe fan. He's wearing a damn Lakers hat right now.
And Lakers shirt for that matter.
Yeah, look at that. So I don't know if you saw
the logo change.
The logo change.
Yeah,
so I had to bring it up. So Kyrie thinks it should be Kobe, rightfully so. I'm not really arguing against it. But the thing is, Stephen A. Smith again, big loud mouth, everybody knows. He did a take on ESPN, and it wasn't even bashing what Kyrie said. We all agreed. Like I don't fight you on Kobe being becoming the logo. Yeah. He said I don't fight you on that because I don't think it should be Kobe. He thinks it should be MJ. And he goes, MJ has done more for the league. He's changed. When MJ came in, not only was he like the star of the league, but he was one of those guys that changed how you look at a star in the world. There was a figure to that man that was not just because of sports. You wanted to be like Mike, no matter if he was playing NBA or if he was playing golf.
His style,
just the person,
the shoes, the shoe line.
Yeah. I mean, he changed aspects of the world, not just in the NBA game. So that was kind of his. You look at like how if MJ had never in the league would not be what it is today, and there's no arguing against that. But there's also no arguing against Kobe and the legacy that Kobe left and the Mamba mentality, which is again nothing that it will be around in the league for history.
Right.
The Mamba mentality is a thing that players talk about consistently. And so,
most of the players that are in the league now, they didn't get to see Jordan play.
Yeah.
So like Kobe was the guy they looked up to.
Exactly, and that's my thought was, and I was like, I think it should be Kobe as well. Not taking anything with MJ, I do believe he's the number one go. But Kobe, like you said, like in today's generation, the last 20 years, Kobe was the guy that everybody looked up to. I want to be like Kobe. I want to play like Kobe. I want to play against Kobe as well. I want to play against that mentality that he has, and so I think it should be Kobe as well. The only interesting thing said that Jerry West, who if you guys know, Jerry West is the silhouette of the NBA logo currently. It has been for decades on decades.
Since they put in this logo.
Yeah, so you're talking 50, 60 years of him being the silhouette of the logo. Stephen A. Smith said that he and Jerry West actually sat down in a one-on-one conversation, and Jerry West said that it should be MJ, he thinks.
Okay.
So from the current logo, he thinks it should be MJ. But I think it should be Kobe. I agree with Kyrie. I think Kobe is the more meaningful impact right now to be changed to.
Right. Okay, so, the weird thing about this is that no one actually knew it was Jerry West as a logo until like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago or something like that. Until the NBA, someone put together like, wait, we think this is Jerry West, and then the NBA came out and confirmed that they based off a silhouette of him. So on and so forth. Like, no other league has that. Like, the NFL is a shield. The Major League's just a generic video game looking baseball player.
True.
I honestly don't know what the NHL one looks like. So
it looks like a badge. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's like a type of badge.
Okay, like the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're the only ones that's in this debate, right?
Yeah, the only two names you can throw out there.
It's just I mean, I understand the sentiment of it, and I guess if you want to change the logo, if you really want to do that in the NBA, if one league is going to do it out of any of them, it would be the NBA because they are the most progressive of the leagues.
Yeah.
So. And sure, I mean, they're both rightful candidates. If you want to do Kobe or MJ, they're both rightful. I'm kind of in the mindset where, I don't think it's 100% necessary that you need to change the logo.
Yeah.
I mean, Kobe and MJ and Michael Jordan, they both get a lot of praise, and they're both, the NBA does a lot of things for both. I mean, we literally have the All-Star ending based off of Kobe now.
True.
So I don't think you necessarily have to. I mean, sure you can. I think there's no problem advocating for both of them.
Right.
I think the NBA could also just be like, well, we appreciate the sentiment, but it's
not a necessary thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a necessary thing. I don't think it necessarily has to be.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be. I do think I'd like to see it change just because Jerry West. I mean, unless you're a real NBA fan, no one knows who really Jerry West is as a player and what he did.
Not as a player. They know more as the GM and the president. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're talking. It's been multiple generations of NBA players and stuff that haven't used Jerry West as a motivational guy to will them into the NBA type of player. So I think it's time for a change to continue the motivation for these younger generations to be in the NBA.
Okay.
I think that's a driving factor. I think it's just a nice change up. Like you said, all the major league sports and NBA is really independent. They don't conform to a lot of things. They do whatever they want.
It's by far the most player-driven league.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't think it's not going to become like a huge political debate or anything like that between the two of them.
Right.
But I think in general, I think it should be changed to either guy just to help continue the progressiveness of the NBA. Let's get these younger generations more interested into it. You know, and you put on a badge of a guy like MJ, you put the Jumpman logo on there.
They wouldn't be able to use that logo.
Oh, they pay a lot of money for it, they will.
I don't think they have enough money to pay for that logo.
Maybe they won't.
I mean,
maybe they won't. But I mean, there's things that are a lot more prominent than the silhouette of Jerry West that most people don't even know is Jerry West.
Right.
So you put a logo out there that a lot of the young kids are watching NBA. They know that logo. That you create more of even bigger of a brand awareness than the NBA already is. It's already a global game, but you can create a bigger brand awareness just by that change of a logo.
I mean, you're not wrong at all by any means. So,
but if you had to pick Kobe, MJ, if they had to change it and there was like a vote, no matter what, end of the season it changes, who are you going with?
My heart says Kobe, just because that was my favorite player growing up. But Stephen A. makes a very good point about Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
and him being the stars right now, like we would like LeBron James now, we would not have if there wasn't a Michael Jordan first.
Right. Okay.
And same with Kobe. We wouldn't have had a Kobe and the star he is without Michael Jordan first. Michael Jordan broke down those barriers.
Yeah.
He really was a pioneer. So sorry about that glitch there. We're having some technical issues here, but I think you're good changing the logo if you want to. If you don't, it's fine.
Yeah.
My heart says Kobe, so I'll go with Kobe.
Okay. Cool.
But so with that being said, that it actually comes to the end of our episode today.
Yep.
We hope that you guys do hit us up at Herbie Sports Talk on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and you will be able to see this video on YouTube going forward if you listen to us on Spotify
or iTunes
or iTunes Music. Or iTunes, just iTunes.
Just iTunes podcast.
All right. Yeah. We're having a hell of a day already, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So hey, thanks for joining, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.